Manipulation is a powerful weapon used by those who seek to control and gain advantage over those around them. People can be manipulated through coercion, emotional blackmail, and manipulation of facts. Manipulation has a negative connotation and is often associated with unethical tactics. Yet in some cases, manipulation is not only unpleasant, but damaging to both the manipulator and the manipulated person. Manipulation can create serious consequences for an individual's psychological well-being as it leads to feelings of inferiority, guilt, and shame. It is possible to become impossible to manipulate if one is aware of the tactics involved and takes steps to resist them. In order to acquire this immunity to the tactics of manipulation, one needs to be aware of the different methods used by manipulators, while also strengthening their own sense of self-worth and learning how to better resist manipulation. In this video, we are going to present you with 7 ways become impossible to manipulate to make sure that no one can take advantage of you and ensure your emotional well-being. Number 1. Understand your own emotions. Manipulation depends on someone being unaware or in denial of their emotions. By understanding your own emotional triggers, you can make progress in recognizing when you might be tempted to manipulate a situation or avoid it altogether. Everyone experiences emotions differently, so it is important to take the time to recognize what your emotional responses to situations are. Once you have identified your own emotional responses to different scenarios, you can start to identify if someone is trying to manipulate you. This can prevent you from becoming a victim to manipulation. Additionally, understanding your own emotions can help you become comfortable with being vulnerable and open to potential solutions, rather than just trying to force a certain outcome. Having this emotional awareness can make it much harder to manipulate you, because you can recognize when you're being taken advantage of and take steps to prevent it. Number 2. Reclaim your mental and physical space. Reclaiming your mental and physical space helps to make it harder for someone to manipulate you. One of the most important steps is to recognize when you're being manipulated and how it's making you feel. When you can identify the signs of manipulation, you will feel empowered to take back control. You can express your feelings in a manner that doesn't make you appear weak or overbearing. It's also important to be aware of your personal boundaries and ensure those boundaries are respected. Acknowledge what you will and won't tolerate, and set clear expectations for how others should interact with you. Let people know when you need more space, and communicate that in a firm but polite way. Additionally, strive to assert your own wishes and needs without compromise, as this will create a stronger foundation for yourself and make it more difficult for someone to exert influence over you. It takes practice, but ultimately this can make it practically impossible to manipulate you. Number 3. Develop healthy self-esteem. Having healthy self-esteem is an important way to become less vulnerable to manipulation. Self-esteem is how you view yourself and how worthy or important you perceive yourself to be. When your self-esteem is low, you might believe that someone who manipulates you has more importance or credibility than you do. People with healthy self-esteem tend to be less likely to allow themselves to be manipulated because they feel more confident in their ability and worth. Instead of seeking validation from others, they rely on themselves to decide what feels right and wrong. They have the confidence in their own judgment and are less likely to be swayed by someone else's opinion. They are less likely to bend to the will of someone else for fear of displeasing them or hurting their feelings. Additionally, because they have a strong sense of self-worth, they are better able to recognize when signs of manipulation are present and are better equipped to distance themselves from such people. Number 4. Set boundaries and keep them. One of the best and most effective ways to become impossible to manipulate is by setting boundaries and keeping them. This is not only important for protecting yourself, but it is also necessary for establishing a sense of personal autonomy. Boundaries can be around things like what conversations you feel comfortable or uncomfortable having, how much time and energy you will commit to certain tasks and activities, and what personal limits you have. Setting boundaries and keeping them allows you to be sure that your needs, feelings, and beliefs are respected and valued. It also helps create clear expectations between yourself and those you interact with, ensuring that boundaries are respected and that manipulating behavior is not tolerated. By setting boundaries and consistently sticking with them, you are sending a message that manipulation of any kind will not be tolerated. This will make it increasingly more difficult to manipulate you and ultimately make you impossible to manipulate. Number 5. Know your triggers and avoid them. Knowing your triggers is one of the most important ways to become impossible to manipulate. Triggers can be anything from certain people or scenarios that bring out the worst in us. To become immune to manipulation, it is necessary to become aware of our own triggers and reactions and actively avoid them. Knowing our triggers takes time and effort. We must be deeply self-aware and honest with ourselves to identify them. Once we are aware of the things that bring out the worst in us, we can take steps to stay away from them. We can also work to train ourselves to become less vulnerable to manipulation by practicing self-control and limiting our emotional reactions when we are exposed to our triggers. With enough practice, we can make it almost impossible for people to manipulate us. Number 6. Speak up and disagree. Speaking up is one of the best ways to become impossible to manipulate. Expressing disagreement with someone's opinion, or even their manipulation attempt, is a basic way to show them that you won't be putty in their hands. Refusing to be a scapegoat or go along with ideas you don't agree with can be intimidating for people who are used to manipulating a situation to get what they want. When you speak up, not only do you assert your own thoughts and opinions, but you could be inspiring others around you to be similarly assertive. This can set up a dynamic where other people's manipulative tendencies will be shut down before they can be used. Moreover, when you disagree with the manipulator, be sure to explain why. This will help establish your own autonomy and integrity. Number 7. Seek support when needed. Manipulation is a form of control that makes it hard to recognize when it is happening. Being on the receiving end of manipulation can be confusing and overwhelming. To defend yourself from manipulation, it's important to recognize warning signs and store warning signs in the back of your mind. One strategy to do this is to seek support when needed. You may not always be able to recognize manipulation before it occurs, but having mentors, friends, or even family who can help you can be very helpful in situations of manipulation. When you seek support, your support system can help you identify situations where you are being manipulated and help you set boundaries in situations of manipulation. Seeking support will also help you stay strong in the face of manipulation, as people can give you confidence and remind you that you are supported in the face of manipulation. Having the knowledge to identify manipulative behavior is essential for protection against it. With a better understanding of the tactics of manipulators, you'll be in a much better position to avoid being taken advantage of, and will be less likely to suffer from manipulation in the future. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to stay tuned to such helpful content. Thanks for watching.